So my last thought about dark history. Dark history is history for one. History teaches about people's way of thinking, what their political views were, and how can we solve issues, and what works and what doesn't. I think the reason why most countries, including America, doesn't want to talk about dark history, like I say, it will make a nation look terrible. It will also make those certain individuals look like monsters. But at the end of the day, it happened. It happened. And it's quite sad that it happened, but it happened. But even with the darkest history in our country or other nations, it gives us a value lesson to understand what we need to do as human beings. Because violence is not going to do it. Torturement is not going to do it. Experiment is not going to do it. I don't think experiment should still be carried out in 2022. We have technology. We have AIs. We have DNA abstract. We have so further technology to figure out about diseases and bacterias and people's mental illness. We don't need to use animals either. Animals were going through hell back in the day with all the experiments that human beings did to animals. Cruelty. Let me tell you. Some people believe the government's still using animals of weird scientific studies and stuff, but nobody should be using any kind of mammal. Nobody should be using any kind of thing to figure out, to solve things around the world. But I think people that like to do experiment on other people, animals, they have a sick mind. They really do. They have a sick mind. They love the torturement. They love the torturement. They love how they scream and stuff like that. I got bit by mosquitoes. They just starting to itch. They wasn't itching before, but now they starting to itch. But they like enjoy the what do you call it? The torturement. Dark history teaches so much stuff. Now, I had a friend one time, he explained to me that if the neo-Nazi Germany didn't do a whole lot of experiment on the Jewish people, we want to learn about a lot of different things about bacteria. We want to learn about different types of diseases. I don't think people understand. The neo-Nazi people, they were crazy. They were obsessed with science, and they were obsessed with the paranormal. Believe it or not, they were trying to bring like demons in different dimensions. They were trying to bring like hell from the ground. They also was trying to bring people from the dead. Believe it or not. Trust me, you got to research and read about the neo-Nazi. They were doing all kinds of crazy shit back in World War II. Just to try to win the war. They would do everything necessary. But anyway, the thing is, he was saying if it wasn't for them to figure out all kinds of bacteria and diseases, we want to know about it today. He said even though it was cruelty, it was fuck up, and it was mess up, you gotta give them kind of thanks. And don't think people want to thank a bunch of killers that tormented children, women, and men for the sake of understanding the human body and how it's going to react or with all the exposure of diseases and viruses and torturement. But I see what he's coming from, because once again, history does have a silver lining when it comes to dark history. It does teach the biochemistry of the human body 10 times more. It also gives us a glimpse to understand what they were trying to do. But most of the time, what they were trying to do was bio weaponry most of the time. But Of course, most people look at it as a scientific improvement, medical improvement to make medicine, drugs, etc., to help people who might have these diseases and viruses. One can also argue that the dark history should not be brought up because it was in the past. However, people are still doing the same thing that the dark history has been taught. People are still doing the exact same thing. Over the course in history, people are still getting tortured. People are still getting experimented in different parts of the world. Think about human trafficking. Slavery and prostitution are the two oldest professions in the world. Slavery is still going on to this day, and slavery been on this earth forever. Prostitution been on this earth forever. When you learn the history about prostitution, you understand why it happened, how come it happened, and what is the reason behind it. It's not good, but it gives you a clear indication why is it happening. And we can prevent prostitution, and we can prevent slavery. However, one thing that I understand about prostitution and slavery, they both have something in common, and that's the poverty people, gullible people, and people with greed continue doing this two oldest profession. I know there's a third one, and I think most people would say the third one could possibly be drugs. I think the third one is information. Information is like gold and $1 million. I'm not kidding. If you have information about anything, you're on gold and you're with $1 million, because information can tear down an enemy, can tear down a nation, can tear down a whole world. And now that we're in technology and data and stuff, and we're in a cyber warfare, it is even more relevant and even more scarier than ever before. Even when technology was in its early stages, there have been many people stressed about how technology is gonna hurt the world and how it can be used against, but also it can help the world at the same time. So dark history really give us a heads up how to help people, preventing this to happen again. What can we do to solve it, etc., etc. Even though it's the darkest time in human history, there is a silver lining. There is a positive thing. One thing, when I keep thinking about the Holocaust keep bringing up my mind, is that we can show empathy for other countries. Because at the time, United States did not want to intervene with Germany at all. The African people, Russia and France, they were fighting. They were fighting bad. They were trying to protect their country, protect their land, until Japan crashed their plane in Pearl Harbor, and that's when we intervened. But when we saw the Holocaust and what the Germans did to the African people as well, it blew our mind how human beings could be so cruel and so evil towards another human being. It shook America. It shook them to death. We never see anything like it. Now these days people say America need to mind their own business. America is the world of police. But you have to understand, at that time in World War I and World War II, we saw some fuck up shit. And we saw how other countries were treating their people. Now, I'm not saying that America should be a world police, but that's what sparked America to do NATO. That sparked America to do the UN. That sparked America to become the police of the world. Because when we saw what they did to those people in World War II, and the Jewish community, the African people, because people don't talk much about the Germans invaded Africa. I forgot there's certain parts in Africa where they invaded and stuff. What they did to those people were fuck up. You know what I'm saying? And that's why United States is the world police. That's why I love history. And a lot of people really don't look at history. They don't read it. They don't watch it, because I'm telling you, it will explain why America acts the way they do. Now, not all of it is good attention, sad to say. And most of it is. But this is the reason why America is like the world of the police. Because what we just saw, we're like, oh my God, this is crazy. We need to teach the world morals and values. We need to teach the world common sense and logic. We need to teach the world that women are just like men. They're equal just like us, and etc., etc. But now you can say today, we're kind of moving backwards. And, with the whole abortion thing, that was the darkest history in America when it came to abortion. There was some horrific stories about women and children. One of them was, the one story I heard was called the Butter Box, where these nuns, and this was in Ireland, and they were taking girls who were pregnant, and they were verbally assaulting them while they were giving birth. And they were also starving these newborn babies. Now, some of them got adopted, and the mother didn't know their child got adopted. And these women were in harsh condition. Remind you, these are a bunch of nuns doing this, okay? The women were in harsh conditions, and these nuns were killing these poor babies, killing them. They say they estimate maybe 300 infants died in the hands of the nuns by starving them and throwing them in a trash can. That is dark history, okay? And it's not being taught. Because if this was taught, then people will understand about why women, do abortion. Understand why, children's psychology, kids are messed up in the head and stuff, and why some of them malnourished. Dark history teaches not to repeat the same thing. But the reason why people don't want to speak it, because once again, they will look ashamed. And it's sad, but it happened. It happened. So dark history really teaches us to be better human beings. If we sit here and say that we are intelligent and we are superior human beings and we're more intellectual human beings, then we shouldn't be arguing about racism, sexism, color. We should mainly try to fix the economy, mental awareness, health, homeless, children that have success in their life. We should be focused on that. But human beings, and this is the reason why I say in my last podcast that human beings are stupid creatures. Because it's all about money, control, status, be on top, and most of all, thinking you are superior to everybody else. And this is the reason why human beings keep falling further and further down the rabbit hole. Or should I say, they keep falling down on stupidity. I love history, good, bad, and the dark, and the brightest, because it teaches us how to solve things, how to make things cooperative and efficient, and also helping people as one instead of individuals. So dark history needs to be taught. It's disgusting, it's terrible, but it needs to be taught, because as you can see today, it's repeating itself. I'm Jazz Fuzz. Talk to y'all later.